However, it's that time of the show when we focus on some more trading ideas. And Siddarth Bhamre, of course, also joins in as well. But Mitesh, let me first come to you for your ideas. I was speaking about this at 8:15, that there are real estate ideas from both of you. Let's start off with your ideas. India Bulls real estate, and of course, there's a sell call on Dr. Reddy's as well.
IBDL was a call yesterday as well, along with the HTIL, and even now I think offers a good risk-reward equation. It's managed to get past the pivot levels of 54.5, 55. So buy with a stop below 54.40 for targets of 60. And the sell call on Dr. Reddy's is very clearly indicative of the price and volume action yesterday. A big breakdown taking place over there. Sell with a stop above 3100 for targets close to about 2980.
CK, what would be your positional play for the day?
Well, I think, stocks from real estate are moving as we were discussing, and HDIL is something which seems to be, undergoing some kind of accumulation, and this has been going on for nearly about 6 months, and a series of patterns were formed, but none of them showed any attempt to break out from those patterns and head higher, or perhaps these attempts were made and they were rebuffed. Yet again, the stock has now made another pattern on the charts, and at the current prices, it seems to be indicating a possibility of a breakout. CMP is about 72, 73. If it sustains above this, I think a breakout is now possible. Nearest resistance is about 80 rupees, so that is the basic, that's the nearest target that one can have for 1 to 3 day kind of play. But then a breakout past 80 will be something very, very positive, which can then be looked upon as a swing trade of many weeks. So I think something is getting set up here. One should definitely have one's eye on HDIL.
Siddarth, we'll talk about some of the other ideas that you have in a bit, but since we're on the topic of real estate, there is a consensus bullish call from both Mitesh and CK, and clearly it was showing in the way some of the stocks were doing trade as well yesterday. Anything that has caught your attention?
So I wouldn't have any different view than what Mitesh and CK sir is pointing out. But what we have done is we have participated already in HDIL. DLF has given a fresh breakout kind of thing. We are seeing formation of long positions, which is important rather than just short covering. So I think momentum is going to continue in them. But overall, if you see, market is positive, but momentum may just dry down. I'm not saying there might be some correction. So we have to be careful in this high beta space. So those guys who are already long may continue to hold long. Those guys who are looking for a fresh long positions have to be careful. So we know the nature of real estate stock, how they move.
Yeah, we do. So let's get going, Siddarth, then on two of your ideas. You've got a buy call on Jet Airways as well as Bata 2 today.
Yeah, so Jet Airways, we all know that how aviation stocks have performed in last 6-7 months, and in fact in last 2 months there is a correction or consolidation, I would say, from higher level stock corrected, and last 1 week there was some consolidation. 2 days before we were saying, 2 trading sessions before, we were saying that stock after good consolidation was giving a breakout. We have seen 10% rise in open interest when price went up by 4%. Yesterday also, initial part of the session, stock did show upside move, but because unfortunate events happening around the globe, we saw stock correcting. We didn't see any formation of short positions yesterday, so our bullish call maintains, and we are expecting Jet Airways to do well. Right now, I am having a target of around 606 in mind, so one can go long in Jet Airways.
Okay. So those are some trading ideas from our experts as well. Girish, let me get you in on what has been arguably one of the most active packs in the last 5 to 6 sessions, and that is cement. Are these gains that we're seeing for real? Is it here to stay? Are you recommending cement stocks to your clients as well?
Yes, we are. We are fairly bullish on the cement pack, though I think the run-up has been fairly sharp, and I think we could probably wait for a bit of a correction to get in. So the fundamental story here is that after like 5-year CAGR of something like 5% demand growth for the industry. We think that the demand growth will pick up to maybe about 7 to 7.5% over the next 3 years. More importantly, we believe that incremental demand is going to exceed the incremental supply. Therefore, the capacity utilization levels, which are very low right now, they're somewhere close to 70%, 71%, will rise to close to 80% by FY18. Thereby, we think that there is going to be a return of pricing power. There's already a fairly decent pricing power in the market, despite capacity utilization levels being at fairly low levels. Even at 70%, we do see a situation where there is a great deal of pricing discipline compared to the past cycles. Having said that, the EBITDA margins are still not good. EBITDA per tons is still not great. So we see a position where if the utilization goes up to 80%, we think that EBITDA margins can expand from here on the back of prices moving up. Costs are under a fair bit of control. And more importantly, we do have a situation where the industry is kind of consolidating, going through another round of consolidation, so to speak. So some of the weaker hands are kind of moving out, who've been kind of disturbing pricing discipline in various parts of the country. I think they're kind of moving out, and we're having stronger hands come in and pick up some of the cement assets. So this is unlike a global cyclical or a global commodity. This is a commodity which is restricted to players within India and kind of protected to that extent. And we think that 6-7% kind of growth that we'll probably see for cement demand is going to lead to better margins. And therefore, we think that return ratios for the industry, which are single digit levels as of FY15, will probably double from here over the next 2 to 3 years. So we're fairly bullish on the cement sector.
That's the call on cement. Sandeep, what about you? Cement, is that a conviction call? And if so, is it just a trading bout, or do you think there is an investment case now playing out in cement?
No, clearly cement is an investment case now. And as we've been discussing over the last few weeks, I think cement looks good. And among that, both in the leaders pack with Ultratech, as well as in some of the smaller companies, especially I think the biggest leverage is in India Cement. So that's considered to be one of the riskier companies. But then with debt on the books, then debt conversion to equity value, that's what you have to play. So I think
why not a Sanghi, why not a JK Lakshmi? These are not the largest pan-India players, but in their regions, they're doing really well, very good reserves, very good market share in those pockets as well.
Yeah, so I think what will happen is that all of these companies will do well.
Okay.
So now in a portfolio, one can hold only one or two. So one would think that one of the largest players, Ultratech, should be in your portfolio. And then you make your choice. So wherever you are more comfortable, wherever you think that pricing power will be best. So I think India Cement will do very well, especially I think because of the entire construction activity which will start around the new capital of Andhra Pradesh. That will boost demand in the south a lot. And South will have good pricing power, and this company has the highest operating leverage to do well when pricing power returns.
Okay, Girish. Now, by the way, so I think you mentioned about cement as one pocket. The other one is autos, and I know you have possibly a positive view there. But how would you play auto? What are the stocks? We have about a minute before the pre-open comes in, Girish. What are the stocks that you would bet on in the auto space?
So two-wheelers, especially Hero Honda, that's one we would like to play. The second would be Swaraj Engines, which is a play on the tractor industry bouncing back into growth in FY17 and FY18. The third is Atul Auto, which is where we think the petrol variant that is going to come through would potentially see this company addressing a much larger opportunity from here on, compared to what it has done in the past. So it's done a great job in terms of addressing the diesel engine related domestic demand. So now from here on, I think it will start addressing the export demand, which is almost like 50% of three-wheeler sales of the Indian industry, and also the petrol variant within the domestic market. So these are three kind of stocks that we've kind of been recommending to investors at this point in time.
Cadila should be an important one to look out for, given the WHO, or rather World Health Organization notice that came about for this one yesterday, and the kind of sharp correction that we saw in the stock, and then the clarification which has come in that the vaccine facility as well as the oral units are completely separate.
Yeah, so, and again, something that came out Jan 29 but caught the attention of people only here lately. However, let's see, there's no material impact on finances on Cadila immediately, but if the US FDA goes ahead and inspects the facility and finds something wrong, which may also happen, then there could be a problem for Cadila. So yes, a dip yesterday, maybe could see a bit of a bounce today. But we'll talk about that in a bit. Firstly, 40 seconds left for the pre-open. Let's try and give you the trade setup. The trade setup is looking neutral today. After a lot of gains for the last few days, we may have a flattish start to trade. But mind you, despite the Belgian attacks, European markets headed in the green. So the market setup seems to be positive. What within the specific names are likely to react? Watch out for reactions to the MS focus list. They've added HUL to the Asia Pacific ex-Japan and GM focus list as well. Could be interesting for HUL. And in mid caps, do watch out for Triveni Engineering. I dare say, while this was expected, the board has given the approval to the arrangement for the demerger, and the demerger of the sugar and the gears business should augur well. So maybe there could be some preemptive buying based on the record date that we have for the demerger. So do watch out for this stock as well. Here come the first rates, and you'll probably have a flattish start. I somehow think we may not have too many stocks that will gyrate too widely for us to talk about very excitedly. However, the first rates, and they are showing a flattish start too. The Nifty and the Sensex completely flat right now. Financials and cement are looking slightly off in the first 10 seconds of the pre-open. That may well change, but for now, they are the ones that are looking slightly iffy. And IT is not looking all that bad. The first 1 minute is to be believed. So if this is the trend for the day, then you may well have a flattish start with a few stocks here and there moving about, and IT may be having a slightly better day than what it had yesterday. Let's see if that happens. Reliance should also come up on the screen. That's an interesting one. Remember, Bernstein has given a higher target price, so that could be an interesting one. And I want to see what Edelweiss is up to. It's a liquid brokerage name. All brokerage stocks were active yesterday. Without an exception, all of them were up and about. And maybe Edelweiss could have another good day of trade today. Let's see if there's a 3.5% uptick. But I dare say for Edelweiss, the last 1.5 to 2 years, it's been just stuck. This has proved to be a very key resistance for Edelweiss to break. It stays stable at about 45, 47, 48, goes up to 60 and then comes off. So just do watch out for this one. And of course, the currency is opened as well. 66.76, I believe, is where the opening tick on the rupee came about.
Yeah, just a couple of other names to look out for. Let's see what Ashok Leyland is up to now that they've joined hands with Lockheed Martin for some of the defense vehicles. And Ashok Leyland starts off in the green by about 0.5% or so. Cadila, the clarification that this is old news and that the vaccine facility and oral units are completely separate. The stock continues to see some bit of red, but that could get covered eventually. Divan Housing as well. They're looking at raising a sizable sum of money through selling debenture, so look out for that. And Bharti's deal with Videocon as well as ATC have been given a credit positive rating now by Moody's, so look out for Bharti as well. In the meantime, let's also go across to Ajay. He's waiting by to tell us what the dealing room chatter is this Wednesday morning, or Ajay, I should say Friday morning technically.
That's correct. For all practical purposes, today is Friday, Aisha, isn't it? But the dealers believe that, it'll turn out to be a decent day for trading because the risk on trade globally is on. Reliance Industries is the first stock they're watching out for. It's being recommended to be purchased if a dip is, being provided in today's session as a positional long as well. In fact, it is already ticking in the green after that big brokerage note coming in from Bernstein. Cadila, you were talking about it. Brokerage notes have come out with mixed reaction, but at least in the dealing room, the kind of chatter which I'm gathering is that people are not very convinced by the clarification which has been provided by the company regarding this new issue which has erupted regarding the WHO plant. So that is likely to come under pressure. And the last one is Vedanta. Now, metal stocks clearly are leading from the front in this rebound. But Vedanta, which is already almost doubled, more than doubled from 40 odd rupees to 96 now, is where I understand one large fund is looking at booking profits. They are heavily, made money on this one. So at least 25-30 lakh shares each day for the next 1 or 2 days could start coming in from the supply. So watch out for this one. Large fund is wanting to book profits.
Interesting. Thanks for that, Ajay. And we have another metal name in focus as well this morning. Mubina Johnson to tell us what is the Credit Suisse view on Hindalco. The target price upgrade, belated as it may be, is quite substantial, Mubina.
Oh yes, absolutely. Credit Suisse has resumed coverage on Hindalco, maintained an outperform, started off with an outperform and increased the target price from 60 rupees to 110 rupees. That's almost a double that you are seeing at the target price. And this is purely because of the fact that they believe that aluminium prices, which by the way have seen the worst performance among all the base metal prices, has finally bottomed out and will see, albeit of course weekly, but will see a price recovery. And the fact that Hindalco is a pure aluminium play gives Hindalco a lot of benefits to actually be able to take from this recovery in aluminium prices. Additionally, if you look at the domestic operations, we have seen the ramp up of its Mahan smelter, so economies of scale will kick in. When it comes to Novel as well, remember that one suffered that one-time hit because of that metal price lag loss that was incurred. But that's of course again behind us, and the premiums should recover, and we should see profits once again in the Novelis, which is the US subsidiary, by the way, of Hindalco. Apart from that, additional tailwinds would also be the China spends and the renewed focus on demand stimulus, foreign exchange movement, and also interest costs, because deleveraging will kickstart in FY17.
Okay, thanks a lot for that, Mubina. So do watch out for this. Suddenly, maybe because of the analysts shifting or otherwise, but some of the target price changes that have happened on some of the metal names have been quite astounding. Girish, do you have a view here on the metals pack at large? What's the house call that Nirmal Bang has on the metal names?
No, we don't cover metal stocks
Fair
at
call.
this point.
But I know you do cover private banks very closely, Girish, NBFCs, private banks. Where is the bent? Is it towards the NBFC pack, which is more stable, or are you taking a positive view towards the banking space as well?
No, we're not using a broad brush positive view. We don't have a broad brush positive view on the banking sector. We like the private banks, which are more consumer focused. There are the private banks which have a fair bit of exposure to the corporate book side. We would rather want to be underweight those particular names. So consumer focused private banks, consumer focused NBFCs are the two areas within the financial services space that one should be overweight on over the next 12 to 24 months is the call that we're giving. It's largely from a capital preservation standpoint, which is the overarching theme that I talked about from how one should be positioning portfolios. So I think that is an area where you will probably see less asset quality issues come up over the next 12 to 24 months. The growth is going to be far stronger than the normal, industrial lending part. I think one of the key things to look at, I told you one area of concern for me is the potential slowdown in the US, which could slow down global growth, so to speak. The key thing to look at is how is the banking sector placed going into such a kind of a slowdown. If you look back in history, in 2008, 2009, when we went into the global financial crisis, the banking sector was in fairly good shape. I mean, the asset quality issues there were somewhere to the region of 2.5% to 3%. If you do see a slowdown, and I'm not saying that it's going to be very similar to what one has seen in 2008, 2009, I'm talking about a much milder kind of a slowdown situation. Even if you do see that, and the Indian banking sector, in my opinion, will potentially go into it with non-performing assets of maybe 7, 8, 9, 10% kind of levels. So one needs to watch out for a situation where there could be some fresh NPAs being created in the system. While all these last few quarters we've been kind of grappling with NPAs which were created over the last 7 to 8 years because of issues with metal sector, with power. So we need to kind of watch out for what is going to happen going forward if we do see this kind of scenario kind of play out. Absolutely. So that is where we think that the private banks which are consumer focused and NBFCs which are consumer focused are stocks to watch out for. So within that pack, HDFC Bank, IndusInd Bank, SKS Microfinance, Capital First. So these are the kind of companies we kind of like.
Okay, Girish, so good chatting with you. Thanks much for taking the time out and speaking with us today. The interesting trend, of course, is also to look out for what happens within the FMCG pack, given the run-up in the stocks in the last 10-odd trading sessions. And yesterday, that bit of a cool-off which came in, even though the rest of the market recovered, FMCG continued to be a bit of a laggard. That was the case with the Godrej Consumer, or for that matter, even in ITC, which has been quite the performer ever since the budget. And Siddarth, I want to get your views in on a Godrej Consumer as well as ITC, and how would you go about trading these two?
Godrej Consumers, we are seeing, formation of positions, but then I am, slightly confused around this 1300 levels, whether this is formation of shorts or longs, because 2 days before, when prices inched up slightly, it was formation of long positions which were visible. But yesterday there is a huge build-up of around 9%. Though it's not very liquid name, we are seeing correction over there. So I am not very comfortable forming trade over there. But ITC, I am not expecting a huge move. In fact, beginning of March series only we were stating that the stock would move in a range with 335 to 340 on the higher side as strong resistance, and support would now emerge at 310, 315. So short triangle continues over there. Don't expect huge move in ITC on the other side. We have seen some formation of long positions taking place in HUL, but then again I'm comfortable buying HUL at 835, 840 and not at around 880.
Look at the pre-open. It is so flat. It's as flat can be. But for one stock, Cadilla, which is down another 5% in trade, 311. I repeat, the news bits that we gave yesterday was not known to the market. It came in Jan, but completely unknown to the market, and which is why it made sense to bring it out. And it's led to this fall in Cadilla Healthcare. No immediate financial impact, but if indeed the US FDA were to re-inspect the facility, which is in the same premises or in and around that premises, and there are some further problems for Cadilla, then there could be an issue. But I think the market is wary of that, and which is why that 7% fall yesterday before close, and another 5% today. So Cadilla is somehow looking down the barrel right now. Let's see if this changes or no, but for now the pre-open rates are indicating another 5% downtick on this one. CK, you want to come in on Cadilla? I mean, it's difficult to probably call this one after a sudden fall that we've seen already in 10 minutes. So I understand that point, but would you still have a view?
See, I think it's a case of, bad news kind of building up on earlier bad news. The stock had taken a big knock with the first notice, I think, from US FDA sometime back, and had barely recovered from it when it has got clobbered again by this new one. Now, one may argue that the share of this WHO thing is minuscule in the profits or the sales and all that. But then what one is really, or what the market seems to be worried about, is the domino effect it might have with the US FDA. And if they were to slam it again, then it's probably curtains for Cadilla, at least for the near term. I think that is what the market is more worried about, and that is why the stock is slipping. I think it's on the verge of slipping down further. And if, as the pre-open indicates, we are going to be down 5-6% today, I think it'll break the next set of supports and probably head down further. So any rally back to about 305, 310 levels should be used to short Cadilla from a trading perspective, and prospective buyers should probably stay away from it for quite some time.
Okay, let me just recap all the trading strategies coming in this Wednesday morning and start off with Dr. C.K. Narayan's strategies. And here's what he's been recommending in trade today. He's got 2 buy calls, one in Tata Motors DVR, the other one being Reliance Infrastructure, wherein he sees a target of 560. In Tata Motors DVR, he's pegged the target at 287. Mitesh Thakkar then, and here are his strategies. He's got a buy call in Reliance Infrastructure, target 565, in Tata Power, wherein he foresees a target price of 66 on the stock. Mitesh also has a sell idea on Dr. Reddy's and a buy on Indiabulls Real Estate.
And Siddarth Bhamre, of course, has 2 buy calls, Jet Airways as well as Bata. So do watch out for those stocks. But let's try and nail it down to that one top trading idea for the day from each of our 3 experts. Siddarth, let me come to you first. If you had to pick one stock for a trade, which one would that be?
So Jet Airways, I'm quite optimistic, and I'm expecting, the crude oil price not to move significantly above current levels. So that is one idea which I'm quite optimistic. Apart from that, we didn't discuss Bata. Bata yesterday in a lackluster market showed good move, and at the same time we are seeing addition of open interest, volume not just in cash market but also in F&O segment were very nice. So Bata India is also one stock which you should keep eye on.
Okay, watch out for Bata predominantly is what Siddarth Bhamre is saying, maybe even a Jet Airways. But CK, one stock, which one would it be from your end?
I think Reliance Infra buy at 536, stop 529, targeting 555.
Reliance Infra it is from CK Narayan, stable. Mitesh, which is it from your end?
I will choose to buy on Tata Power with a stop below 60 for targets of 66.
Okay, let's just look out for all the stocks that are going to be in the focus today. And just very quickly, look out for what an ITC does. There's some bit of long unwinding there. Dr. Reddy's, some shorts in the stock. And we're gearing up for a very flat start. But who knows how we actually land up. It could very well turn out like a trading session like we saw yesterday. So just 30 seconds left to go before we kickstart trade for the day. Lots of other stocks which are going to be in focus. And of course, Ashok Leyland is something that we're going to look out for. So let's see what kind of move that you see on Ashok Leyland. Remember, the management just spoke with us on their tie-up with Lockheed Martin for Indian Army defense vehicles. And of course, Cadilla as well. Whether or not you see all that selling, which got undone in the dying minutes of trade, but whether it completely gets covered or not. So flatter start, 77.09 is where we're currently at. It would be imperative to see whether we stick by with the 7700 level or we cool off quite significantly. It seems like cooling off is the kind of tilt that we're bent towards right now. Bharti, they've struck a deal with Videocon and ATC, or rather Bharti's deals with Videocon and ATC have been rated as credit positive by Moody's, so look out for that. Let's see what Cadilla, Ashok Leyland, Dewan Housing, which is going in for some fundraising. They're selling sizable amount of debentures. Ashok Leyland starts off just about marginally positive. Dewan Housing down about 7/10, and Cadilla is the other one which should come up for you on your screens next. That's still down by about 1.7%, irrespective of the clarifications that they issued. I just want to see what ITC as well as Dr. Reddy's as well are up to, and whether or not you're seeing any bit of big moves coming in there. ITC just about marginally positive. While we're at it, let's also check in on Godrej Consumers too, considering this too saw a bit of a reversal of trend yesterday. Godrej Consumers down by about almost 0.5% or so. And the other one, of course, being DRL. That too should come up for you on your screens. Let's see whether Cement Realty continue to be the flavors. Yes, ACC, that's top of the pack right now, 2.25% higher for this one. And Ambuja as well has made a very smart start for itself. Ultratech Cement going good, so is India Cements with a positive bias. Hero Motorcorp, Tata Steel, BPCL, you've got a Tata Power, Hindalco. These are some of your big movers. For the index per se, it's no great shakes. It's absolutely quiet. And yeah, banks are the ones which are at the bottom of the pack right there. So BOB, SBI, Axis, HDFC, PNB, ICICI Bank, along with the non-bank like Reliance Industries, they're the ones which are at the dragging end of the market. And it's quiet completely for the broader markets as well, Neeraj.
There were a bunch of stocks which are active in the session. So bring up Kalpataru Power Transmission. They have one large orders, and that stock is up about 7.5% in trade. So good going. Navin Fluorine, I don't know whether it's the Honeywell partnership for the auto refrigerant business that is leading to this, but it's an 8% uptick for a Navin Fluorine in the session today. So good going for that stock. HOEC is the third one. There's been some fund activity there, and HOEC is clearly active in the session, about 10.5 or 11% in trade. It's such a beaten down name, but yep, some interesting buyers there, and that's leading to this uptake. Lastly, first Edelweiss is something that I do want to mark as well. They've bought the AMC business of JP Morgan, 7,000 crores worth of assets under management. And that's leading to this 3% uptake. We'll chat about this with Sandeep Sabharwal in just moments from now. But 2 or 3 other names that are active yesterday. Kesoram. Remember we told you first about Kesoram being the seller in the Birla Group companies. Gets 400 crores. Kesoram is up another 5% after the 10% uptick that we saw yesterday. It's an unabated rally for Kesoram the last 3 or 4 sessions. So good going there. VIP was just about 3 or 4 rupees adrift of its 52-week highs. in today's session a bit soft. And Sterlite Tech, something that has done very well last 2 or 3 sessions, even that is looking slightly edgy. So those are 3 and 4 names. And then there are a bunch of these smaller mid-cap names, HBL Power, for example, which is up about 10%. So that is doing okay. But largely, these are the broader market stocks that stand out. Do watch out, though, for Hindalco. I think that upgrade from Credit Suisse may be having a little bit of a temporary impact on Hindalco. That is up close to 3% in trade. Good going. Just Dial, by the way, Aisha, we were talking about this yesterday. It's up about 3.5% today.
That's phenomenal, given how volatile the stock has been, the kind of sharp plunge almost to its issue price, and then the recovery which has come in. Sporadic moves. Yesterday it was a big mover that the buyback got concluded, and today too that fizz on Just Dial really is lasting. Just very quickly, Hindalco, Ambuja, Bharti, NCC and Tata Communications, they are the ones which are top of the charts when it comes to F&O. And yeah, it's all about banks. ICICI Bank, Canara Bank, BOB, Andhra Bank, they're all the list of losers. The market breadth is pretty split and divided, almost even Steven there. Siddarth, your first take on trade, anything that's caught your eye considering it's a very quiet start for the index per se?
Target of 2970.
Sorry, what's that stock, Siddarth, that you're talking about?
No, I'm not talking about stock. I'm talking about the overall market, Aisha, over here. What we have observed that, FIs have been buying a lot of index futures and put options since last 2-3 weeks. But since last 3-4 trading sessions, what we have seen that the activity is drying up. We are not seeing much of index futures buying. We are not seeing buying of puts. Last 2 trading sessions, they have been selling option segment with huge build-up in 76 and 7700 put. And yesterday we saw some 7800 call option also being sold, which suggests that the momentum may take a pause, and we might not see a level significantly above 7800 in this series. So I think traders need to get more stock specific in remaining part of March series rather than bet big moves on index.
Okay, Siddarth, we'll let you go at that. Thanks so much for joining in and giving us that perspective. And I think, quite frankly, that's been a view that's been expressed on the channel the last couple of days as well, that now the broader market might also start doing well. And even if the Nifty stays stable, a lot of these broader market stocks could do well. Just before we get